YouTube! Today we're watching the real-time Tuscaloosa, Alabama tornado. I know we watched this one a while back. Well, this tornado, but we didn't watch the real time. And I absolutely love the real times, man. They really bring it home and give you a perspective from the victims, the people that were there, the people involved in the meteorology, the weather. You know, you get the picture. But these really bring it home, emotional. So I want to check it out because I've already watched Joplin and then more. So this will be the third of the real-time tornado videos. So let's hop straight into it.
Looks like it's now touching down. So we have an emergency situation. This tornado is now on the ground. It looks like it's a now sizable tornado. If you see anybody outside, tell them to get inside right now.
Now it's doing major damage in Tuscaloosa.
We were watching this come into a metropolitan area.
Jesus help them.
It was horrendous.
Oh no.
Wow. All I could think about was, is this thing coming for me? This thing is huge.
It was utterly terrifying.
Coming over the campus buildings. You could feel the power of this monster.
Go the back. I'm not.
And just for the record, some of the best footage and pictures of sub-vortices were the horizontal vortices coming off this tornado. I didn't mean sub-vortices. Horizontal vortices. And also, a little knack, this tornado got to like 1.5 miles wide. I didn't know that the first time I watched it, or I forgot. I was doing a little research. And at one point, this tornado got to 1.5 miles wide. Insane.
I'm kidding.
It was right on top of us.
That's the tornado right there.
It looked like it had a mind, that it had personality. It was the scariest moment of my life.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God.
We had severe weather that morning between 3:30 and 9 o'clock, and during that time, 5 people were killed and 250,000 people had no power.
National Weather Service notified me that Tuscaloosa had a 40% plus chance of being hit by a tornado.
It's important that we take heed of this, and hopefully Tuscaloosa will come out unscathed, but it doesn't hurt for us to be prepared and ready for what lies ahead in the next few hours.
Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. Guys, for the record, man, take your warnings and stuff seriously. Listen to your meteorologist, your city leaders, especially like this. Man, if people like that are getting on TV and they're being like, hey, we need to take this serious. You know, you need to be in an area to where you can seek safety quickly. Listen to them, okay?
At that point, I decided to go ahead and activate the city's incident command system, which is basically our emergency protocols.
I love working in the emergency department because you have the opportunity to take care of people. It was a typical day in the emergency department, typical patients that we get every day. One of the paramedics mentioned that bad weather was coming in. One of the nurses and I walked outside, and it was a beautiful day. The sun was shining.
The problem we were facing was the fact that the sun popped out. And then you had a lot of people saying, well, everything's going to be okay.
This is the kind of stuff where we really ask you to pay attention.
The fact that the sun is out is the worst possible thing because that makes the air more buoyant and unstable.
The temperatures continue to warm. The instability.
We've talked about this before. Guys, if you're getting like these people coming on there and they're saying you're going to get bad storms, you have like a high probability of getting a tornado, and you go outside and you just see sunny blue skies, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled.
increases, and again, a lot of the severe weather parameters are just off the charts today.
Looking at the data, we have a checklist of about 64 parameters that you need for a tornado. We had about 60 of the 64, they were just screaming, almost an extreme range.
That any of these storms could erupt and go severe in a heartbeat. And
all of a sudden, the atmosphere just started changing, the wind picked up, got dark. We knew we had something big coming.
That particular day, we weren't doing anything special. We'd actually had a couple of days of thunderstorms, and a very good friend of mine, Josh, had been shooting.
I ain't gonna lie, I thought that was a bear, dude. I thought that was a bear. It was just so blurry. That's my bad, my bad.
He was just playing around with a new video camera that I'd gotten not too long ago and was just trying to catch lightning. We have seen some of the stuff on the news about, potential tornadoes, but that's kind of something that we get almost every single day during the summer. So it wasn't really something that we really fretted too much about. I went to go out to the front yard, and I looked towards the front of my house where I saw my friend, and he was like, "Look right over there."
Holy!
You could just see movement and velocity. We knew that there was some...
Y'all hear that roar, right? Like, you hear that? I hear that.
Something going on around us that wasn't normal.
If you didn't hear what I heard there, just rewind like 10 seconds and listen to it again. You can hear the roar.
We want you to be in a safe place right now. All of these storms are extremely dangerous today.
I think some of the real heroes were our people in the field. If we just showed radar, for a lot of people it looks like a bucket of spill paint. But you show a live stream, I will tell you, people will do something.
Let's look at the live stream. We've got John Brown and Mike Wilhelm, two of our better sky watchers.
I work for the state of Alabama, Department of Human Resources. I've stayed in touch with weather and studied it a lot for probably about 25 years.
Oh yeah, look at that thing. I see a little finger. Whoa, hydroplane.
I work with sky watchers for ABC 3340, and we were quite confident that there was a storm that was making aim on Tuscaloosa.
It's rotating for sure. That is lowering. I see a few little fingers there.
And that particular day, every storm was isolated, and it was maintaining strength, and it was rotating.
It's starting to come into view. It's coming down to a point. It's right there in front of us. Right in front.
We were looking at the storm, and John says, "Mike, a lot of people are going to die today, and they just don't know it yet."
I remember that being said in the first one. And that's one of the most eerie things I've ever heard in some of these tornado videos. Like, that's how confident these people were that a really bad storm was heading their way, if not multiple.
I am a student at the University of Alabama studying journalism. For about 6 years, I've been working at a local TV station in Tuscaloosa. It was while I was in one of my classes that we started getting word that the weather was going to be a little rougher than we thought, and so my professor asked if the station needed me, and at that point, I was able to go to the station, and that's when things really started to progress.
West Alabama is bracing for more stormy weather.
And the same system has already been blamed for several deaths and destroying many businesses and homes all across the South. For the latest...
I'm the news director and anchor at WVUA-TV. Being the news person, people are asking you, Lynn, is this going to be as bad as people say it is? And you really don't have any answers. It's really not in your hands. At the same time, you're having to think about your own personal safety. This potentially could hit the building where we are right now.
So again, get in the lowest floor of your home, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible.
We had converged in the studio to watch the tower camera, and we saw the tornado come down, take shape, and it became fairly large.
Don't take a chance with this thing. This is obviously a very dangerous situation, what we're looking at.
But then in just a few moments, we saw it lift back up, and it goes back up into the clouds.
And yeah, it looks like it's lifting.
You could feel that collective sigh of relief.
It's toying with them.
It appears that it's not on the ground at this second, but...
And I said, it's gonna get angry and come back down even worse. And in just a couple minutes, it did exactly that.
Looks like it's now touching down just to the west of Tuscaloosa. Yeah.
Everybody knows when you're sitting in the computer chair and you lean in, you get everything gets, the visual gets better, right? We can agree on that? We can pretend that's the case.
We're seeing power flashes, so we have an emergency situation. This tornado is now on the ground. It looks like it's a now sizable tornado we're watching live. This is coming right towards Tuscaloosa.
Calling a tornado emergency for Tuscaloosa and Northport. And again, this is a very serious situation. So if you are watching us...
I've lived in Tuscaloosa pretty much my entire life. I was out of school working for my dad at the time.
We got Tuscaloosa on fire. Fires. A new tornado in New York and Suffolk County moving northeast at 55. It probably is a fire. It's a lightning.
I had one of my friends, Nate Hewitt, with me.
Oh my God, look at that fire. And again, it looks like that is raging.
The storm was pretty bad, and so we had actually left work a little bit early.
I wish these trees would go away.
Personally, driving, I couldn't see the storm that well. However, after the trees move, it becomes apparent that the storm is coming directly at us.
Oh! Dude, like, you have it in your head that these storms are getting like a mile and a half wide, but it doesn't really click. Just how, like, large that is.
There it freaking is.
Look at that.
That thing is massive. We need to go faster. It's coming right at us.
Smart man.
No, keep straight. Never in my life will I see this again.
From where we were sitting on the interstate, having no idea where the storm's actually going, I didn't really realize the severity of the situation.
Oh, look at the horizontal vortices there, guys.
See debris in the air. That thing is half a mile wide.
What a picture. Ah, man. What do you say? What a beast.
Once I actually looked over, I didn't realize that we were nearly as close as we were when it was right on top of us.
Oh my God.
We're fine. Go the...
Look at that, the vortices there, the horizontal vortices.
Back, I'm not kidding.
Did I see that in the previous video? I don't feel like I seen that. Or have I just been taking in too much tornado stuff? Because, oh my God. That's insane.
You can see debris in the air. Never in my life will I see this again. We need to go that way. We're fine. Go the back. I'm not kidding.
That'd be me too.
Nate felt like we were too close, and that's when we probably went about half a mile in reverse down the wrong way on the interstate to get us far enough away from the storm.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
It's crossing the interstate right where we were. Oh my God.
It became apparent as to exactly how much damage was being done.
You can see huge debris.
You can actually see what appears to be full-length 2x4s I mean, just everything and anything had been sucked up and was spiraling around a half-mile circle.
Oh my God. That thing is destroying everything. It's gonna hide in the
Greene County and the other reports we've had, this thing is clearly a large...
Yo, and everybody loves this weatherman here. I can't remember his name, but everybody loves him.
Violent tornado that is down on the ground.
I tried to indicate that this is a genuine emergency. This is not a false alarm.
James Spann. Whenever I look at comments, especially, in some of the other videos of this tornado, they talk about how many lives this guy saved. Just with his reporting and staying on air and stuff, and just constantly pushing people to get to shelter. So, James Spann.
Alarm.
This is an extremely violent situation. Notice the power flashes.
It's very hard to stay composed on the air because you know that if many people don't do anything in the path of that, there's a good chance they're going to lose their life.
I want everybody in the city limits of Tuscaloosa to stay sheltered.
I have a wife and 2 children, but you cannot be fatigued, you cannot be distracted, you cannot be emotional.
Nobody should be on campus walking, nobody should be driving.
Oh no.
This was different on a lot of levels. You don't normally see a very clearly defined funnel like you did with that tornado. Had multiple vortices, meaning there was a lot of small funnel-like shapes that circulated around the outside of the tornado itself.
Debris everywhere. Now it's doing major damage in Tuscaloosa.
As we were standing there, we were watching this come into a metropolitan area.
Not good, Mike. No, it's going to destroy a big chunk of Tuscaloosa. Jesus, help him. Help him be in safety, please.
It was just obvious it was a horrendous situation.
Oh, no.
Nuts. Look at that thing. I am an on-air personality program director for a radio station. All of a sudden, they started blaring the sirens. Oh my God. The tornado was right in front of the radio station. Holy crap.
Look at that rotation, man.
You look out at this cloud of black dust that just goes all the way up to the heavens.
Doing a little thumb test.
This thing is huge. It was breathtaking.
Brother, you need to be like in a basement. We're going to have another Andy situation, aren't we? He's going to film to the very last second.
This is a very large tornado coming directly our way. This includes the University of Alabama campus. If you see anybody outside, tell them to get inside right now.
The majority of people who were gathered in that studio, Tuscaloosa is home for them.
This is coming right towards our television station.
You could feel the power of the fear just radiating from people.
You want to get everybody out of the hallway and into our studio if that is a possibility, because this is definitely a life-threatening situation.
We just all huddled underneath our news desk, and it was people that were working at the station as well as people that were just grabbed from outside in the hallway and told to come in. It was really utterly terrifying.
Is that the Alabama football field I'm looking at there? I bet Nick Saban was pissed.
I see the clouds moving like mad over there.
We both began to see kind of a torrential movement of clouds, but it was so close to the ground. I mean, it looked like it was right behind another house.
What is that?
Josh, let me explain to you, bud. Because maybe you haven't turned on the TV. There's a chance you haven't watched the news. all that good jazz. But we're going to put some things together. You're in Alabama, which is notorious for very strong tornadoes. You see rotation. He said that. Or not specifically rotation, but he's seen the mass in the distance. I can hear that roar through your camera. So I know you hear it. Let's start doing 1 + 1 + 1. Get some shelter.
Flying in the air.
There's debris and stuff.
There's debris flying in the air, dude.
Tornado right over there.
Get inside, bro. Get inside.
Dude, that's getting loud.
The rumbling of the ground and the pressure change and the sound growing louder and louder and louder came towards us. We were scared to the point of going inside.
Oh my God! Here, give me that.
Thank goodness.
Oh, dude, see all the debris up there flying?
He's gonna have me tore up like Andy did. Stop recording. Get to the center, or get to your basement, a shelter. Get to the centermost part of your room with no windows. Stop. They stress me out, man.
Oh, dude, that looks wild.
Oh, it's right there. That's the tornado right there.
Might want to go down to the basement.
Yeah, let's get downstairs.
As I turn around, I wait.
You see what I mean? This is why I get stressed out. I mean, it was all there. Everything just screaming at them. Even if you're not familiar with tornadoes, everything was screaming at you that, this is happening. It's getting closer. That's why it's getting louder, right? That wind field, you can watch it. You can go back and watch it. Come at them. It's coming at them to a degree. You might only get hit with the outer shelf of it, but either way, it is going to impact you some. And they just want to stand there and record.
Away from the door, I see my tree disappear. I said, all right, it's time for us to go downstairs and get to a safe place. I grabbed all the couch cushions off of the couch and threw them down there, and then just kind of laid on top of those couch cushions and put them behind me and laid on top of my friend.
One, I'll stop pausing so much in just a second. Just one last thing on that situation. Number one, try to, turn on the weather channel or something. We all have mobile devices now. They may not have had that, right? Anyways, we do. Check your weather every now and then. Take it seriously. Number two, you start connecting the dots there. You hear the roar. You see the rotation in the distance. You see debris. Stop recording. Go underground. Number three, when you are going to shelter, right? You don't have to take some pillows and stuff with you, unless you have plenty of time. Like if they tell you the tornado is going to be there, yeah, you got 10 minutes, right? Okay, gotcha. But if you're looking out your window and your front tree, like the tree in the front of your house has already disappeared, don't worry about the pillow. You're not going to need the pillow. You just need to get underground. Okay, I'll stop.
Oh, it's right there. That's the tornado right there.
Stressed out, man. Stressing me out.
I grabbed all the couch cushions and then just kind of laid on top of those couch cushions and put them behind me and laid on top of my friend.
Dude, look at all that debris, man.
Everything is gone.
It's a tree landed here.
There's a hole in the roof. There are holes in the roof.
Above my room and our old computer room,
Dude,
the
that had to
entire
be so
roof was
scary.
ripped off. There was nothing left.
Oh my God, look at all these trees. Dude, our porch is gone.
Oh my God.
There was probably about 5 trees laying on top of the walkway to the house. And in that situation, it was when I was positive that we were in danger.
We're gonna have to get out of here, dude. This house could collapse.
This thing looks like it might be over 1/2 mile wide, maybe up to 3/4 of a mile wide. Now, Isaiah Harper, you're seeing a tornado right now. Tell us what you've got.
It was monstrous. It was just huge. And it looked like, from sitting still at one point, that it had a mind, that it had personality. I'm watching people die. And at the same time, my wife was on the east end of Tuscaloosa and my kids at home, and I'm wondering, which way is this thing gonna go? Either I'm about to die or am I...
Dude, number one, that tornado was absolutely massive. But look at those subvortices. No. Look at those horizontal vortices. We'll get it right.
My
That's
family
insane,
is about
man.
to die. So it was the most scariest moment of my life. I mean, I saw my life sort of flash between my eyes.
Holy crap, guys. Oh my gosh, wow. While I was filming the whole thing, all I could think about was, is this thing coming for me? Oh my God. It looked like it was kind of making a turn for our direction. Holy everybody get inside. So we got back inside. And then the station went dark.
Dude, that's so scary.
And all we were left with was a giant black cloud that was staring at us. Oh my God.
The last time we had one this big was probably March 21st, 1932, even before my time. That destroyed so much of Tuscaloosa.
We were huddled in this room, and we were surrounded this little television. This is where I've grown up. This is where I have raised a family. And now we were watching on live television the tornado rip through the heart of the city. And that was the first moment for me where you get that weak in the knees moment. It was traumatic.
Right down Skyland Boulevard here and Interstate 5920.
The quietness in the room was amazing. And then the TV went blank. I believe the tornado at that point was about halfway through our city.
All right, this is a life-threatening situation. We have a very large tornado coming right into the center part of Tuscaloosa. This includes our television station.
In that moment, you really don't know exactly what you're going to do. At some point, I started to pray.
This thing's coming right towards the University of Alabama campus.
That might be one of the better pictures of a horizontal vortice. Look at that. Just off to the left of the tornado there, reaching in. You know, I heard, and we all know that this tornado got an official rating of a high-end EF4 at like 190 plus mile an hour winds. This storm was a beast, though. I don't care one bit. I think there's an argument that this tornado's in the top 10. It falls inside my top 10. Let's go ahead and give you guys a little flash forward. Yeah. For the record, the top 5 has officially turned into a potential top 10. I feel bad leaving some names out of the mix, so we're going to make it a top 10. I'm probably going to start working on that this weekend. So get your dippies on. the comment section is probably going to be spicy.
So we're going to stay on air as long as we possibly can. We're getting power glitches. A very large tornado on the ground right now.
Then, boom. Just completely gone. everything went black. So I grabbed my camera and I just started running up flights of stairs in the building. And as soon as I got out of the stairwell, there it was. And all you can do is just look. It's such an overpowering feeling to be eyeball to eyeball with a killer like that.
We're seeing the rotation, we're seeing debris. It's coming over the campus buildings. We're seeing the rotation, we're seeing debris.
It's such an overpowering feeling to be eyeball to eyeball with a killer like that.
Honey,
it's coming over the campus buildings.
You need to take shelter.
You could feel the power of this monster. And when it came dangerously close, I ducked back into the stairwell and just started to pray.
Are you kidding me?
My goodness.
Nobody should be out there.
You had two really important facilities close to the tornado path. One was DCH Regional Medical Center. That would be the ultimate disaster if a tornado took out that hospital.
Our nurse manager stuck her head in the door and said for us to take cover because the news had reported that there had been a tornado spotted on 15th Street coming straight for the hospital.
Dude, that's massive, man.
We have this child who is intubated, so we quickly decided that the other nurse would lie over her head and that I would lie over her body on the stretcher and hang on. At this point, we're unaware of how...
Wait a minute.
Her body on the stretcher and hang on. At this point, we're unaware.
Whoa, where did that come from? That might not have even been theirs, man. That could have been carried for like a mile. Oh. God.
Aware of how big this tornado was. And then all of a sudden, there was this huge black cloud just swirling. And I screamed, oh my gosh, there it is.
My goodness, man.
It came so quickly, and it was just so huge, and it was so close. It was almost like you could reach out and just touch it. It was there, and then it was gone. And the sky was clear again.
This was a very fast-moving tornado. This thing was moving. So it was pumping like all this damage out in like a snap of a finger.
It looks like the tornado is beyond the range of the Tuscaloosa Skycam, so it's moving away from the city. But again, I would say for about the next maybe 15 minutes, I would stay sheltered until we can come out and assess the damage.
Look at that. Oh my God, look at that damage. Look at that right underneath the overpass. Look at this, look over there.
Probably the biggest obstacle was all the debris. There were whole trees down the road and 2x4s and signs. At that point, I think everything kind of became surreal.
I can't even recognize this place, and I've driven up and down this. We can't get there.
The area we pulled up to, it was about a block and a half away from where I work and had been just a couple hours before, and it looked like an absolute war zone. There was nothing left except for a few power poles that were broken off. Houses were completely laid out over 30 or 40 feet, but there was nothing truly left of them.
Get in, come on.
Oh my God.
You okay? Hey, are people okay?
I don't know, I can't.
Dude.
Can I use your phone?
Yeah.
My phone. Oh my God.
It just went right through. What number you need? It just went right through the city.
911, somebody, because I can't call nobody. Oh my God.
I'll try to.
Yeah, I believe people are stuck. I believe it's.
What, people are stuck?
I'm screaming help. And I hear people screaming.
When she said that she could hear people screaming for help, I think that's when we got out and we started trying to help.
Dude, pure panic, and rightfully so. I mean, the emotions she's probably going through is wild. She knows she barely escaped. There's fear, overwhelmed, and then, you know, now you're concerned for other people that you know are trapped. You can hear them screaming for help. Dude, absolutely terrifying.
We gotta, like, there's tons of people out there. I know.
I can't do this. Oh my God. Oh my God.
As we were in the vehicle, I was getting updates about 2 communication towers being destroyed. About 80% of the city's heavy equipment was destroyed. 911 being gone, and a fire station being destroyed.
Oh, that's a recipe for disaster. Your fire department's down, your police can't communicate, your emergency services can't communicate, your hospital took some damage too, from what I hear. And, dude, I'm curious at how they got through this here. Well, you know, the line of communications being down, you know, hit radio service anyways. And phones.
You would have entire houses that were blown off the foundation. You could see trees stripped of their bark. Most of the trees, in many cases, were just completely uprooted and tossed somewhere else. Cars tossed around like toys, crumpled up into balls like a piece.
Oh, I remember the UPS truck. I remember this. Look at all those cars, though. Absolutely destroyed.
Of paper. A lot of people described it like a bomb went off, only over a long swath.
Take a good look, people. And also take in, you know, not only the immediate area in front of you. One of the things, I used to get fascinated by damage and looking at it, and one of the ways I tried to reel myself in is look at all that stuff. You know, you got like blankets and all clothes, pieces of homes. That's people's stuff. Destroyed. And then, you know, you look at the width here of the damage, and, you know, you see these trees that are debarked and destroyed and splintered, all that debris, but also try to look out past it. Like, not only was this like a long track, but this was wide too. Like, this is just an absolute path of destruction.
Trees are blocking roads. There's no information. Cell service is dismantled. To see what that beast did to this city was unbelievable.
I saw people just emerging, people with cuts, bleeding, impaled objects. They looked to me almost like zombies.
I kind of describe it as an unraveling nightmare because we saw the landscape totally changed. It was unrecognizable. I was never really concerned about where I lived because I hadn't heard anything about Alberta or my apartment.
Isaiah, Tell us where you are and what you got.
James, I'm on 13th Street. I'm standing right here in the parking lot. Those businesses are no more. They have been completely leveled. It's a complete disaster here, James.
There was a Shell gas station on the corner of 13th and McFarland. And everything inside of that gas station had been gutted by the storm, except for the counter. And I remember walking up to a lady. She was still holding on to the counter, and she was crying. She says, "I wrote this storm holding on to this counter." And I'm not
wild,
going to
man.
until somebody tells me for sure that thing is gone. And I said, "Ma'am, the storm's moved on." And during that interview, she let go.
I'm just hoping the neighbors are all right, man. I know they had all those kids over there.
You're worried about some of the things that you have, but then that very quickly dissipates and you get to being where you need to go and check on everyone else around you. Come on, come on. Hey, how are y'all? Yeah, we're good. Tuscaloosa's not a very big town, and we all kind of know each other a little bit around here, especially our neighbors. Y'all okay? Hey, I need to get over here. We need to go check on these folks. Josh, look out, power line. It's a sketchy situation when
Dude,
you're
that's a big
dealing
old
with
tree,
high
man.
electricity in a disaster area.
They're down now, but they might come back up.
That's what I'm saying. We got to get over here. We have to go check on these people. Hey, are y'all okay? There's trees all up and down here, so I don't know. The neighbors to my left, they had a couple of trees leaned over on the side of their house, and, you know, I was worried.
I have little babies.
Yeah, there should be people on the way. Children were crying. It was a very stressful situation. You all right?
Oh no.
I have little babies.
Yeah, there should be people on the way. You all right?
Poor babies, man.
It's okay, boy.
The neighbors to my left, the daughter had fallen down the stairs. That was just absolutely heartbreaking.
Hey, is it over? The storm?
Yeah, the storm's over here. One second.
Go ahead.
How are you guys doing? The storm's gone, so it's all right. Hey, you guys
Is she okay?
here?
The two little ones were way downstairs when the doors swung open and everything was flying around. I was trying to get down and...
That's pretty exciting, huh?
It was kind of a wild situation. You
No
know,
good.
there was no power. Children were crying. You just try to do things as calm and take everything one step at a time.
One way to word it. Not good.
I remember the first one we got to was an elderly lady, and the exterior bathroom wall had fallen over and just basically encased her in the bathtub. We went and just pushed the wall up and helped her up, and then me and Nate saw a little girl standing on a pile of rubble that used to be her house, and she was just standing there crying for her mom and her sister. We heard the sister first, found her after a few minutes of digging, and we could hear the mom calling. We wound up having to tear a door off of some of the debris and used it as a backboard, carried the mom out to an ambulance that was there.
Dude. That place is just destroyed.
The first 3 patients that came to the hospital came by ambulance, and we never saw them on the trauma hall because they perished before they actually got into the hospital. It was very difficult because they're children. Patients came so quickly, and they just continued to come. It's like there was no end. Before you knew it, the whole emergency department was completely filled. People sitting in the floors, on countertops. Rooms that were made for a patient would have 4 and 5 patients.
Yeah, man, it's important to keep in mind here that in these situations where they're just getting bombarded, I mean, you just got to look, you got to take the ones that need help the most first. So if you show up with some scratches and a stub toe, might be better off just going home and getting some alcohol and pouring on it. Yeah, man, because clearly they're going to be overwhelmed, right? Clearly they're going to be overwhelmed.
The hard part is you would have mamas and daddies coming in looking for their children. So you had to tell them, I don't know where your child is. And so you have these panicked parents begging you to tell them that their children are okay, and you can't.
Thank you so much. He's terrified. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Yeah.
We didn't have some of the basic utilities that we needed to get by. Makes an uncomfortable situation, and the only answer is to try to keep your calm.
He's okay.
I just grabbed him as quick as I could.
That's cool. He's not bleeding or anything. He seems alright.
Okay, calm down, but we got her out, okay? She may have a concussion, but we got her out.
I spent about an hour or two getting them set up in an uncomfortable position and waiting for the ambulance to show up. Unfortunately, that little girl who had fallen down the stairs ended up developing some bad pneumonia from that night and passed away.
Oh. R.I.P., man.
This has been a massive destruction here in the Tuscaloosa area, and all the way we've seen scores of buildings.
Look at that path. Dude, that's crazy. And once again, it just always blows my mind. You know, you see that trail of destruction there, and then you can look to the left and right, and you can see homes that are still intact. But literally, if you walked out their front door and threw a rock, you would hit a completely destroyed home. Absolutely insane.
That have been leveled.
I think it really hit me the next morning that the night video, you just don't know, but that first light of day chopper video was just horrifying.
It looked like it intensified just as it came into Tuscaloosa.
Didn't recognize anything. It could have been any place in the world. I wouldn't know what that was. Even though I've been doing this for 36 years and I've worked through many tornado outbreaks, this was the big one for me.
This is certainly one of the worst tornadoes that I've ever seen.
There's just a van on the side of it. The fact that we woke up to sunny weather was just very odd because we had just been through such a monster of a storm. It's a fire station. We immediately started seeing damage, and one of the first real places that we saw was a fire station. Oh, this used to be the church. I looked up and I saw just this gaping hole inside this church. And every day they had this sign that was like inspirational.
Lord have
There
mercy.
was a chandelier that was still there. It was just this sad little church that used to be so grand and beautiful.
Dude, how in the world did that stay up?
And it was just crumbling. That was a scene that I will never forget.
You would hear someone screaming a name and just looking to see if they could find their loved one. There was one gentleman who just instantly fell to his knees and just started to pray. It turned out later that he was supposed to be inside that building. That building was a restaurant, and it just so happened it was his day off.
I did see some people who were pulled out that didn't make it, and there were also some people that we felt like we could hear calling for help, and we dig down and we can't find them.
There was this young college boy who came in, and he had some really significant chest trauma and head trauma. He reminded me of my son, and I felt like I wanted to be the one to take care of him. All I could think of was, here is this young man who did absolutely nothing wrong, but he's gonna die. And I knew he was gonna die. And it just broke
Dude,
my
it's
heart.
sad, man. That's so sad.
A number of college students from the University of Alabama live down there. I actually talked with one. She told me that she was in her bathroom when that tornado came through. She says only the bathroom was left standing in their house, and thankfully... As we were out there, there was a woman who said the storm blew her newborn baby out of her arms. Somebody heard a cry in the rubble, and she was determined that was her baby. We were all out there, we were digging and moving the bricks with her. But then our hearts dropped when we got to the source of the cry, and it was some kid's doll that had a crying mechanism in it. I don't believe to this day they ever found that child.
Man. Once again, I could have went the rest of my life and never heard that story. That's so sad.
Major gas leak on 359 here at 35th Street. We're in bad shape at 6th Avenue East and 15th Street.
The energy level seems to be pretty low today. You can tell fatigue is starting to set in with some of these people who have lost everything. A few people...
Now we're doing stories about people who are still missing. And I did the story of little Michaela Edwards. She was a sweet, precious little 4-year-old girl. And she's with some of her family huddled, trying to hold on to some plumbing to protect themselves from the storm.
Edwards says the rest of his family survived by hovering in a bathtub.
And all of a sudden, 2 of her family members are okay, but they can't find little Michaela.
Family and friends searched this area around the clock.
We went to the VA hospital, and where they was, bringing bodies in from the tragedy that happened. And she was there. She was there, and she was gone.
Having to report that after holding out some hope that she may be found alive, I was really sad.
I wonder how far we're gonna have to walk in order to get to an area where cars can actually travel. I don't know what the hell.
We had no idea of knowing how bad the damage was. We just knew that we had gotten hit in our area. We ran out of supplies, and we decided to go up to University Boulevard, and there weren't houses anymore. Everything was gone. That was the biggest shock. We didn't get hit directly, or anywhere near as hard as I thought that we did.
This was the office. As we had gotten closer and closer to my apartment, we saw a building standing there. Oh my God. It's still there. No, there's someone in it. Half of it. I just kept thinking, I am so lucky. I'm going to be able to get my things. I mean, we were celebrating.
No, that's the bottom.
Wow. We were not actually seeing my apartment. What we were seeing was my downstairs neighbor's apartment, and I was on the top floor, and the top floor was completely gone. It was just from on top of the world to it's worse than I ever thought. I don't know what to do. For a while, I kind of bumbled around in the debris. Kitchen. Stuff was just everywhere. Clothes. It was just devastating. I kept looking through the rubble. Oh my gosh, my grandma's pearls.
Oh my God.
And at one point, we find my grandma's pearls that she had gotten me. Wow, they're perfect.
Is all your jewelry in there?
Not all of it, but there's some. And so that was a moment that gave me a lot of hope, like I could move on from this because I was getting little pieces of my life back.
The tornado was down for about 80 miles. It's approximately at the widest point 1 mile. The maximum wind velocity was about 180 to 190 miles an hour. The death toll in my state that day was over 250, and that is absolutely inexcusable. I've got to take the energy I have and work on preventing this from happening again.
You can be a part of a process that can deliver information that's potentially life-saving, but we had one of the highest death counts ever. So it was one of those days that I don't think I'll ever totally forget.
I worked as hard as I could work. I still had patients die. You feel like I didn't do enough. I could have done something else. And that's tough.
The president and first lady offered hugs and handshakes to members of a community that has suffered the ultimate loss.
I've got to say, I've never seen devastation like this. It is heartbreaking.
I remember he would keep saying, Walt, I've never seen destruction like this. But I said, you know, Mr. President, you've never seen people fight back like this. Here in Tuscaloosa, it was the people that came to the rescue, and it made me so proud to say that Tuscaloosa is my home.
I was blessed that no one in my family was harmed. I realized that life is so precious. It really changed my outlook on life.
Since the tornado, I have become a firefighter. Being able to give back to my community in the weeks after the storm
Wait, is
gave me
that
a
falling?
direction for what I wanted to do for my life.
My
When
goodness.
all the comforts of normal life are stripped away, you will see a beauty in people like you've never seen before. You'll see that person who has almost nothing give everything they have to help someone else. And no matter how bleak the situation may be, there's always hope.
Dude. Okay, you know, it'd been a little while since we'd watched the Tuscaloosa one. Such a strong tornado. I know it got the 180 to 190 mile per hour winds and had a high-end EF4 damage trail, but man, what a beast. What an absolute beast. And, you know, once again, the reason I like these real-time tornado ones is, you know, you get to hear from the victim. You know, it's easy to watch these and be fascinated and, you know, kind of disconnect from it and kind of what you would say enjoy the tornado. But the reality is this is what it does, man. You know, it takes life, destroys people's homes. You know, even there at the end, you know, you had that young girl that found her mamma's pearls. But everything else is gone. You know, I mean, think about that. She don't have nowhere to stay. No clothes. You know, can't go home and cook. Don't have no food. I mean, just everything's gone. Except for what you got in your back and what you might be able to scrounge up like that. And she was just one person. You know, obviously, heavily impacted even more people. So, you know, it is important to keep that in mind, the devastation that these tornadoes cause. And be thankful for life. You know, because a lot of young people, a lot of people in general passed away due to this tornado. And I think it just hurts more, you know, when they're younger. Because, you know, you kind of see that entire life ahead of them, all the things they could have done, and it's just gone. And glad they was able to work things out because, cell phone service was down, radio service was down. So I would imagine, you know, emergency personnel's being able to communicate was miserable. Because, you know, everybody's needing help and, you know, already got limited bodies and you're trying to figure out where the best place to go is first. And it was also cool to hear from hospital personnel. You know, if you're ever in a situation like that, and I hope you never are, you know, if you walk out and you just got a couple of scratches, guys, you know, do you want to get it checked out? Yeah, maybe you can clean it yourself or something. Keep in mind, man, these hospitals are going to be overwhelmed. They're going to have people barely clinging to life. So, you know, that's just something important to think about in the process. But yeah, man, what a stout tornado. Such a stout tornado. All right, with that being said, I am Cheap. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and all that good jazz. We'll catch you in the next one.